My wife said I was too old-fashioned. I thought she meant I wore bad shirts. Turns out she meant faithful. The name's Nick Rourke, and I own the last hardware store in Millbrook, Maine. Population 8,847 and dropping faster than my marriage. My shop sits on Main Street like a stubborn tooth in a rotting smile, surrounded by empty storefronts and dreams that died when Walmart moved in 20 miles south. It's Tuesday morning, and I'm pricing socket wrenches when Marissa walks in, wearing that fake smile she reserves for customers and cheating husbands. She's dressed for another showing, which apparently means yoga pants tight enough to cut off circulation and a top that screams, "Buy this house or buy me a drink." "Nick, honey, I need the credit card," she says, not looking up from her phone. "Which one? The one maxed out on your girls' trips or the one you use for your mysterious Tuesday lunch dates?" She finally looks at me, those green eyes flashing with the kind of irritation usually reserved for slow internet. "Don't be dramatic. It's for staging supplies." Staging supplies. Right, like the staging supplies. I found receipts for Victoria's Secret, expensive restaurants, a hotel room she claimed was for client meetings. Either she's staging the world's kinkiest open house, or my wife's been auditioning for a role I didn't know was available. I hand her the card. 37 years old, and I still haven't learned that being a good guy gets you about as far as a chocolate teapot. "Thanks, babe." She pecks my cheek like she's checking off a chore. "Don't wait up tonight. Big client dinner." After she leaves, I notice she forgot her coffee. Still warm. Still sitting on my counter like evidence of how little I matter in her daily routine. The bell above my door chimes, and in walks Mrs. Coburn, 83 years old and carrying enough gossip to power the town for a week. "Morning, Nick. Saw your Marissa heading out early again. Third time this week. She's dedicated to her work." "Oh, I'm sure she is." Mrs. Coburn examines a hammer like it holds the secrets of the universe. "Saw her having coffee with that Greg Havel yesterday. Real cozy-like." Greg G-Man Havel. Former high school quarterback, current pain in my ass. Owns half the construction contracts in town and thinks his shit smells like roses. He's got the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no and the kind of smile that makes married women forget they are. "Just business, I'm sure," I say, but something cold settles in my stomach. "Course it is, dear. Just like my Harold's poker nights were just about cards." She winks and shuffles out with her hammer, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the growing certainty that I'm the only one who doesn't know the punchline to this joke. The rest of the day crawls by like a funeral procession. I sell 3 light bulbs, a bag of screws, and my dignity to anyone willing to pretend my marriage isn't circling the drain. By closing time, I'm ready to lock up and head home to whatever fresh hell awaits me there. That's when I see him, Greg Havel, sneaking out of the alley behind my store, adjusting his belt and smoothing his hair. In his hand, Marissa's scarf, the red silk one I bought her for our anniversary. Our anniversary was last month. She said she lost that scarf. I stand there in my doorway, watching this bastard swagger to his truck like he owns the world, and something inside me breaks, not breaks, transforms, like a caterpillar turning into something with wings and a taste for blood. Greg drives off, and I'm left standing there with the taste of copper in my mouth, and a new understanding of what my wife meant by old-fashioned. She didn't want a faithful husband. She wanted a stupid one. Too bad for her, I'm only one of those things. I don't sleep that night. Instead, I lie in bed next to my wife, listening to her breathe and wondering how long she's been playing me for a fool. Every small sound makes me want to wake her up and demand answers. But I've got something better than answers now. I've got clarity. The next morning, Marissa's phone buzzes during breakfast. She grabs it like it's a winning lottery ticket, and her face lights up in a way it hasn't for me in months. "Another client meeting," she announces, already heading for the door. "Don't know when I'll be back?" "Sure thing, honey. Sell lots of houses." After she leaves, I do something I've never done in 15 years of marriage. I follow her. My beat-up Ford pickup isn't exactly surveillance material, but it gets the job done. I stay 3 cars back, feeling like a discount private investigator as Marissa's BMW winds through town. She's not heading to any listing I know about. She's driving toward Millbrook Lake, where the expensive houses sit like monuments to other people's success. She pulls into the driveway of a massive colonial I recognize as Greg Hovel's place. My hands tighten on the steering wheel as she uses what looks like her own key to let herself in. Her own goddamn key. I park down the road and wait. And wait. And wait some more. Until my ass is numb and my coffee's gone cold. 2 hours later, they both come out. And Greg's hands are all over my wife. Like she's his personal property. She's laughing at something he's saying, her head thrown back in genuine joy, the kind she used to save for me. They kiss goodbye, and it's not a peck on the cheek. It's the kind of kiss that says, "See you tonight," and "Your husband's an idiot," all rolled into one. I follow Greg to his construction site, where he struts around barking orders at his crew like a rooster in a henhouse. His truck's unlocked, because who's going to mess with Greg Havel's truck, right? Wrong. I slip a tiny Bluetooth speaker under his passenger seat, the kind I sell for $20 to teenagers who want to prank their friends. Except this prank's going to cost a lot more than $20. That evening, I'm in my shop doing inventory when my phone connects to the speaker. Greg's giving someone a ride, and that someone is my wife. Can't believe he still doesn't know. Marissa's voice comes through crystal clear. God, Nick's so oblivious. I could probably bring you home for dinner and he'd ask if you wanted seconds. Greg laughs, and it sounds like broken glass in my ears. Guy's a loser, babe. Always has been. Remember high school? He was nobody then. He's nobody now. The shop's worth something, though. Prime real estate right on Main Street. Once I get him to sign it over in the divorce, we can flip it for serious cash. You sure he'll sign? Please. I've got him so twisted around my finger he doesn't know which way is up. He'll give me whatever I want just to avoid confrontation. Always has. My hands are shaking as I listen to them plan my destruction, like it's a weekend getaway. 15 years of marriage, reduced to a real estate transaction and a character assassination. What about the kid? Greg asks. Ellie? She's daddy's little girl now. But kids adapt. Once we're in Florida, she'll forget all about him. Florida. They're planning to take my daughter to Florida. I turn off the connection before I hear anymore. My chest feels like someone's sitting on it, and there's a ringing in my ears that has nothing to do with tinnitus. This is what betrayal sounds like the world ending in stereo. But I'm not going to roll over and die. Not anymore. I spend the next 3 days planning. Marissa's got an open house this weekend, some fancy colonial she's been hyping on social media. She's invited half the town, including the mayor and the bank president. It's supposed to be her big break, the sale that establishes her as the premium realtor in Millbrook. Shame if something went wrong. Saturday morning arrives gray and drizzly. Perfect weather for what I have planned. I show up at the open house early, before the crowds, carrying my toolbox like I belong there. Nick, what are you doing here? Marissa looks genuinely surprised to see me. Thought I'd support my wife. Maybe learn something about real estate. She relaxes, probably thinking I'm finally showing interest in her career. If she only knew. The house is beautiful. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and a kitchen that costs more than I make in 2 years. Marissa's set up refreshments in the dining room and put fresh flowers everywhere. She's even wearing her lucky dress, the blue one that brings out her eyes. Too bad her luck's about to run out. I excuse myself to use the bathroom and get to work. It takes exactly 3 minutes to loosen the toilet's water supply line. Not enough to cause a flood, just enough to create a steady leak that'll soak through the ceiling into the kitchen below. In the master bedroom, I plant my second surprise in Marissa's purse. A realistic-looking adult toy I picked up at a novelty shop 3 towns over. Nothing too shocking, just embarrassing enough to make an impression. By the time the first potential buyers arrive, I'm back downstairs, playing the supportive husband. Marissa's in her element, charming a young couple with talk of investment potential and growing equity. She's good at her job, I'll give her that. Too bad she's even better at lying. The leak starts small, just a few drops hitting the granite countertop. Then it becomes a steady drip. Then a stream. Oh my God, Marissa rushes into the kitchen as water starts pooling on the floor. This wasn't happening this morning, I swear. The young couple exchanges glances. Water damage is every homebuyer's nightmare. Maybe we should come back another time, the wife suggests. No, it's just a small leak. Happens in old houses. Marissa's smile is getting brittle around the edges. That's when the ceiling gives way. Water cascades down like a brown waterfall, soaking the kitchen island and sending the carefully arranged brochures floating across the floor. Marissa screams and jumps back, slipping on the wet tiles and landing hard on her ass. The young couple flees. So do the next three groups of buyers. By the time the bank president arrives, Marissa's standing in an inch of water, her lucky dress soaked through, her hair plastered to her head like seaweed. Perhaps we should reschedule, he says diplomatically, backing toward the door. It's not usually like this, Marissa calls after him. The house is perfect. This is just a fluke. But he's already gone, along with any chance of making the sale. That's when Marissa reaches for her purse to call a plumber, and my second surprise makes its debut. The toy falls out and lands with a wet slap on the flooded floor, right in front of the mayor's wife, who just arrived fashionably late. The silence stretches like a rubber band about to snap. Well, says the mayor's wife, staring at the toy like it's a dead fish. I can see you're fully committed to customer satisfaction. She leaves without another word, and Marissa stands there holding her purse, her face cycling through shades of red I didn't know existed. Nick, she says slowly, did you have anything to do with this? I look around at the flooded kitchen, the ruined open house, the soggy adult toy floating like a rubber duck in a very adult bathtub. Honey, I say, I wouldn't know where to start, but I'm learning fast. Monday morning brings an envelope slipped under my shop door. No return address, just my name written in block letters like a ransom note. Inside are photos, high-resolution, full-color photos of my wife and Greg Hovel in my bed. My bed with the quilt my mother made us for our wedding anniversary. There's a note, too. You'll be gone soon, old man. Enjoy the show while it lasts. I stare at the photos until my eyes burn. Marissa's face is turned toward the camera, eyes closed in what looks like ecstasy. Greg's grinning like he's won the lottery. They're not just screwing around. They're putting on a performance, knowing someone would see these pictures eventually, knowing I would see them. The rage that hits me is pure and clean, like a flame burning away everything I used to be. The nice guy, the understanding husband, the man who always tried to do the right thing, he's gone. What's left is something harder, something that knows exactly what it wants and how to get it. If I can't be the hero of this story, I'll be the monster. The Millbrook Charity 5K is this Saturday. Greg's the main sponsor, and he's been training for months, posting shirtless selfies on social media like he's auditioning for a fitness magazine. Marissa's been helping with his training regimen, if you know what I mean. They're expecting to cross the finish line together, the town's golden couple, while I watch from the sidelines like a good little cuckold. Not happening. I spend Tuesday night in my shop, working by lamplight like a mad scientist. The beauty of owning a hardware store is having access to everything you need for creative problem solving. Industrial-grade food coloring, pressurized containers, remote detonators, all perfectly legal to own, perfectly innocent when bought separately. Wednesday, I volunteer to help set up the water stations. Nobody questions Nick Rourke wanting to contribute to charity. I'm that guy. Reliable, boring, invisible. The kind of man people forget is in the room. Thanks for helping out, Nick, says Carol from the town council. It's nice to see community spirit. Just trying to do my part. I set up my special water station at the 3-mile mark, right where the course turns onto Main Street. Greg and Marissa will be leading the pack, thirsty and eager for refreshment. They'll grab the special bottles I've prepared, the ones with the tiny explosive charges that'll detonate 30 seconds after being opened. Saturday morning dawns bright and clear. Perfect running weather. I position myself across from the water station with my phone ready. Just another spectator documenting the big race. Greg and Marissa round the corner in first and second place, both grinning for the cameras. They're matching outfits. His idea, probably, since he's got the ego of a peacock and twice the brain. They grab my special bottles without hesitation, twist off the caps, and take long, grateful swallows. 29 seconds. 28. 27. They're waving to the crowd, basking in the attention when the bottles explode in their hands. Blue dye erupts like geysers, coating them from head to toe in brilliant sapphire. Greg looks like a smurf who's been through a blender. Marissa screams and stumbles, her white running outfit now the color of a robin's egg. The crowd gasps, then starts laughing. Someone shouts, "Blue Man Group auditions are next week," and the laughter spreads like wildfire. Phones come out, cameras flash, and within minutes, the video's trending on social media. Greg tries to maintain his dignity, but it's hard to look authoritative when you're dripping blue dye like a broken pen. Marissa's crying. Whether from embarrassment or the dye in her eyes, I can't tell. Either way, it's the most beautiful thing I've seen in months. They don't finish the race. They slink off to Greg's truck while the crowd's still laughing, and I follow at a safe distance. Greg's screaming at Marissa like it's her fault, and she's screaming back. Their perfect partnership is cracking under pressure, and I'm here for every beautiful second of it. But I'm just getting started. Tuesday night, I pay Greg's truck a visit. It's parked outside his favorite bar, and he's inside getting drunk and probably complaining about his blue dye humiliation. The truck's unlocked because Greg Hovel doesn't think anyone in this town has the balls to mess with him. Time to update that assumption. I pop the hood and get to work. Nothing dangerous. I'm not trying to kill anyone, just make a point. I disconnect the brake lines from the master cylinder, but only partially. Enough to make the brakes spongy and unreliable, not enough to cause a real accident. Then I stuff the air vents with shrimp paste, the kind they sell at the Asian market for cooking. It'll take a few days to really ripen, but when it does... Saturday morning, Greg's driving to the town's Founders Day celebration when the smell hits him. I'm watching from across the street as his truck starts weaving, windows rolling down, Greg's head hanging out like a sick dog. The brakes choose that moment to fail, not completely, but enough that he can't stop in time. The truck rolls gently into Millbrook Lake with a splash that sends ducks scattering in every direction. Greg climbs out the window, soaking wet and smelling like low tide, while half the town watches and laughs. Someone's live streaming it and the comments are brutal. Guess the G-Man's all washed up. Hope he's got flood insurance. That's what you call a water landing. Greg stands there dripping and humiliated while a tow truck hauls his ride out of the lake. Marissa's not there to comfort him. She's been avoiding public appearances since the blue dye incident. Their perfect relationship is developing some serious cracks. Pete, my best friend since high school and the town's most cynical security guard, sidles up to me with a knowing look. "Funny how Greg's having such bad luck lately," he says. "Karma's a bitch. So's revenge." Pete lights a cigarette and studies me like I'm a puzzle he's trying to solve. "Just be careful, Nick. Sheriff Cates is asking questions about you. Seems to think you're acting strange." "Strange how?" "Like a man with nothing left to lose." He's not wrong. The old Nick Rourke died the day I found those photos. What's left is something hungrier, something that knows exactly what it wants and doesn't give a damn about the consequences. That night, I find my shop vandalized. Someone spray-painted "loser" across my front window and nailed a dead rat to my door. Ellie's bike, which she always leaves by the side entrance, is gone. The message is clear: they're escalating. So am I. The 4th of July parade is Millbrook's biggest event, and this year, Greg's construction company is sponsoring the main float. It's supposed to be a patriotic display featuring local dignitaries and the high school marching band. Greg's planning to ride on it with Marissa, showing the town that they're the couple to beat. Too bad I've got other plans for their big moment. I spent 3 nights hacking into the float's sound system. It's easier than you'd think. Everything's wireless now, and Greg's crew used the cheapest equipment they could find. A few hours with my laptop and some YouTube tutorials, and I'm in. The parade starts at noon, winding through downtown before ending at the town square. Greg and Marissa are on the float, waving like they're running for office. She's wearing red, white, and blue. He's in his best suit, and they both look like they own the world. I'm standing in the crowd with my phone, waiting for the perfect moment. The float passes the bandstand, where the mayor's giving his annual speech about patriotism and community values. That's when I hit play. The sound system crackles to life, And suddenly Greg and Marissa's voices are booming across Main Street. Not their parade voices, their private voices, the ones I recorded through my Bluetooth speaker. Can't believe he still doesn't know. God, Nick's so oblivious. Marissa's face goes white as she recognizes her own words. Greg lunges for the speakers, but they're built into the float and there's nowhere to hide. Guy's a loser, babe. Always has been. Remember high school? He was nobody then. He's nobody now. The crowd's murmur turns ugly. These are people who know me, who've shopped in my store and trusted me with their business. They're hearing exactly what my wife and her boyfriend really think of me. The shop's worth something, though. Prime real estate, right on Main Street. Once I get him to sign it over in the divorce, now people are getting angry. Nobody likes being played for a fool, and Greg and Marissa have been playing the whole town. What about the kid, Ellie? She's daddy's little girl now, but kids adapt. Once we're in Florida, that's when the crowd turns. Someone throws a water bottle, then another. Greg's trying to climb down from the float, but people are pressing closer, shouting questions and accusations. Marissa's crying mascara running down her cheeks like black tears. Is it true? Someone yells. Are you stealing Nick's business? Were you planning to take his daughter? How long has this been going on? The float keeps moving, but Greg and Marissa are trapped on it, exposed and humiliated, in front of everyone they know. Phones are recording everything, and I know this will be online within minutes. Sheriff Cates appears at my elbow, his expression grim. Funny how that recording just happened to play at the perfect moment, he says. Technology, right? Always glitching at the worst times. Uh-huh. He studies me like I'm evidence in a crime scene. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Nick? Sheriff, I'm just here enjoying the parade like everyone else. But he's not buying it, and I can see suspicion growing in his eyes like a tumor. That evening, I'm closing up shop when Greg and Sully, his cousin and designated muscle, show up. Sully's the kind of guy who thinks violence solves everything and has the arrest record to prove it. Greg's still wearing his parade outfit, but it's wrinkled and stained with thrown food. You think you're real clever, don't you? Greg slams the door behind them, making my tools rattle on their hooks. I think I'm a man who's tired of being lied to. You humiliated us in front of the whole town. You humiliated yourselves. I just provided the soundtrack. Greg nods to Sully, who cracks his knuckles like he's warming up for a workout. These guys think they can intimidate me, rough me up a little, and I'll crawl back into my hole. They're about to learn how wrong they are. Sully comes at me first, telegraphing his punch like a semaphore flag. I sidestep and grab a wrench from the counter, swinging it in a wide arc that catches him in the ribs. He doubles over, wheezing, and I bring my knee up to meet his face. Greg rushes me while I'm dealing with Sully, but I'm ready for him. I've been getting ready for weeks, working out my anger on a heavy bag in my basement, preparing for this exact moment. I catch him with an uppercut that snaps his head back and sends him stumbling into a display of paint cans. You want to play rough? I grab a handful of Greg's shirt and slam him against the wall. Let's play rough. But Sully's getting back up, blood streaming from his nose, and Greg's reaching for something in his jacket. Time to go. I bolt for the back door, leaving them in my shop with their dignity in tatters and their plan in ruins. But as I drive away, I can see them through the window, trashing everything I've built over the past 15 years. The war's officially started, and I'm going to finish it. They think they've won. Greg and Sully trashed my shop, Marissa's filed for divorce and sole custody, and Sheriff Cates is watching me like I'm a bomb about to explode. The whole town's talking about the crazy hardware store owner who's lost his mind over his cheating wife. But they don't know what I know, and they sure as hell don't know what I've been planning. Ellie comes to see me at the shop while I'm cleaning up the damage. She's 12 years old and smarter than all of them put together, with my eyes and her mother's stubborn streak. Dad, I heard Mom and Greg talking, she says, perching on a paint bucket like it's a throne. Yeah? What about? They're planning something bad. Greg said they need to make you look crazy so Mom can get everything in the divorce. He said they're going to push you over the edge and then call the cops. My hands stopped moving. What else did you hear? Mom said she never loved you. She said marrying you was the biggest mistake of her life, and she's been planning to leave for 2 years. Ellie's voice is matter of fact, but I can see the hurt in her eyes. She said I'd understand when I'm older. What do you understand now? That they're both liars, and you're the only one who ever really cared about me. She hops down from the bucket and hugs me tight. I want to stay with you, Dad, whatever happens. That's when I know I can't lose. Not with Ellie on my side. I spend the next week turning my shop into a fortress. Home Alone was always my favorite Christmas movie, and now I'm getting to live it. Tripwires connected to paint bombs, glue traps hidden under loose floorboards, speakers rigged to motion sensors. My hardware store becomes a funhouse designed by a vengeful ghost. Pete helps because Pete's always been loyal, and he's got a security guard's understanding of how people move through spaces. You sure about this? He asks, testing one of my tripwires. They want to push me over the edge? Let's see how they like the view from down there. Friday night, the storm hits. Perfect weather for what I've got planned. Thunder to mask the noise, rain to keep honest people indoors, darkness to hide the details until it's too late. Greg and Sully show up at 11 just like I knew they would. They're planning to trash the place again, maybe rough me up some more, give Marissa ammunition for the custody hearing. What they don't know is that I'm ready for them, and I'm not alone. Pete's across the street with a camera, live streaming everything to social media. Half the town's watching, waiting to see what happens next in the Nick Rourke revenge saga. They break in through the back door, flashlights cutting through the darkness like swords. I'm hiding in the office, watching them on the security cameras I installed last week. Where is he? Sully's voice carries over the storm. Probably cowering in his office. Let's finish this. They move deeper into the shop, and that's when the fun begins. Sully hits the first tripwire and gets a face full of bright yellow paint. He screams and stumbles backward, right into the glue trap that holds his boots like concrete. Greg tries to help him and triggers the second paint bomb. This one's red, and it covers him from head to toe like he's been dipped in blood. What the hell? The motion sensors activate, and suddenly, the shop's filled with sound. Not just any sound. Recordings of their own voices, the things they said about me, about Ellie, about their plans to destroy my life. It's playing on a loop, getting louder and louder until it's deafening. They try to run, but I've thought of that too. The front door's rigged with a bucket of ice-cold water and more paint. The back door's blocked with furniture. They're trapped in my maze, and I'm the Minotaur. I step out of the office, and they freeze like deer in headlights. Having fun, boys? Greg's trying to wipe paint out of his eyes, and Sully's still stuck to the floor. They look like abstract art painted by a drunk kindergartner. You're insane, Greg sputters. No, I'm thorough. There's a difference. That's when Marissa arrives, probably responding to their panicked phone calls. She bursts through the front door and gets the full bucket treatment, water and paint mixing into a rainbow of humiliation. She screams and slips, landing hard on her designer jeans. Surprise, honey, welcome to the party. The crowd outside's getting bigger. Pete's live stream has gone viral, and people are showing up to watch the show in person. Sheriff Cates arrives, takes one look at the situation, and starts laughing. Well, he says, this is certainly creative. Everything's legal, Sheriff. They broke into my shop. I defended my property. The paint's non-toxic, the glue's water-soluble, and nobody's seriously hurt except their pride. Marissa's trying to stand up, but the floor's slippery and she keeps falling. Nick, please, we can work this out. Work what out? Your plan to steal my business? Your plan to take my daughter to Florida? Your plan to drive me crazy and have me committed? The crowd outside's pressing against the windows now, phones recording everything. This is better than reality TV. I know about the photos you sent. I know about your little scheme to get me declared mentally incompetent. I know about the fake Instagram account where you've been posting about your crazy husband for sympathy. I pull out a folder thick with printed evidence. I know everything, Marissa. Every lie, every betrayal, every cruel joke you made at my expense. Greg tries to charge me, but his feet slip on the painted floor and he goes down hard, landing next to Sully, who's still stuck in the glue trap. You want to know what's really crazy? I look around at the three of them, covered in paint and shame, trapped in my funhouse of revenge, thinking you could destroy a man's life and he'd just take it. thinking you could steal his daughter and his business, and he'd roll over and die. I walk to the front door and open it wide. The crowd surges forward, cameras flashing, voices shouting questions. Ladies and gentlemen of Millbrook, I announce, meet your town's golden couple. The woman who was planning to steal a father's business and kidnap his daughter. The man who helped her do it. Take a good look, because this is what betrayal looks like when it finally gets what it deserves. The questions come like machine gun fire. Is it true you were planning to steal the shop? Were you really going to take Ellie to Florida? How long has the affair been going on? What about the custody case? Marissa tries to answer, but she's crying too hard to form words. Greg's shouting denials, but nobody's listening. Sully's just trying to get unstuck from the floor. Sheriff Cates steps forward with a clipboard. Well, folks, we've got breaking and entering, destruction of property, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Now, that should keep everyone busy for a while. As they're being arrested, I hand Marissa an envelope. Divorce papers, I explain, already signed by me. You get nothing except your freedom, which is more than you deserve. Ellie stays with me, the shop stays with me, and you get to start over somewhere else with whatever reputation you have left. She looks at the papers, then at me, and for a moment, I see something like regret in her eyes. Nick, you're done talking. You've said enough for one lifetime. The police lead them away, and the crowd slowly disperses. But the damage is done. By morning, the video will have millions of views. Greg's construction business is finished. Who's going to hire a contractor who breaks into hardware stores? Marissa's real estate career is over. Who's going to trust an agent who lies to everyone, including her own family? As for me, I'm standing in my paint-splattered shop with my daughter at my side and my best friend grinning like an idiot. And for the first time in months, I feel like myself again. So what now, Dad? Ellie asks. Now we clean up this mess and get back to business. Your mom was right about one thing. I am old-fashioned. I believe in loyalty, honesty, and taking care of the people who matter. And revenge? Sometimes revenge and justice are the same thing, kiddo. Pete claps me on the shoulder. Hell of a show, Nick. Hell of a show. I look around at my destroyed shop, at the paint and glue and chaos, and I start laughing. Because this isn't destruction. It's renovation. I'm rebuilding my life from the ground up, and this time, I'm doing it right. The needful things aren't in the shop. They're the people who stick with you when all the shit hits the fan. And I've got everything I need.